Hello everyone. Welcome to our YouTube page. I'm here, Dr. Ekta Jain CT, and today we'll be discussing another topic from Sociology Optional for your competitive examinations of UPSC. And so, in these short videos, these are more or less around 30 minutes videos, and in these videos, we aim to bring forth the themes, the different subtopics, the different themes of sociology, and give you a gist of them. नाउ 30 मिनट्स के वीडियोज़ हैं, शॉर्ट वीडियोज़ हैं, तो उसमें जितना ब्रीफ दिया जा सकता है उतना दिया जा रहा है एंड पार्ट ऑफ इट विल गेट कंटिन्यूड लेटर. And otherwise, the actual course that has begun from 15th April, we've had our first class of sociology optional already, and the other classes are now going to continue. So, for everyone who's interested, who wants to know about them, please check out the course and please check out the classes. We will share the link to the classes with you in the comment section here, in the section below. And as of now, today, again, like my previous videos, I'll be taking one particular sub theme, and today I'll be dealing with. I told you already that how sociology emerged, the relationship of sociology with different social sciences. So we've talked about history, anthropology, political science, psychology. We've talked about all those different social sciences in connection with sociology. Then automatically we come to the idea of how do you approach things in sociology, the different approaches available in sociology. So this video is pertaining one such approach, the dominant approach which existed when sociology as a discipline had just begun. What do we call this approach as? Positivism. So this is positivism in sociology, and we will be beginning with this approach. Positivism we've done, and now we are coming to non-positivism. Okay, so positivism is something that has been dealt with in the earlier videos, so we do get an idea about what non-positivism is, what positivism is. It is about objectivity. Positivism is about empiricism. The idea of empiricism is inbuilt in it, right? So we have seen how positivism is close to natural science, and that is why sociology adopted positivism as an approach to gain legitimacy, to gain acceptance, to gain affinity towards the then existing natural sciences. However, towards the end, towards the limitations of positivism, we came to the idea that how positivism only deals with the external, and which is a huge limitation in context of sociology, and that's why new approaches were beginning to emerge. And today, that approach will be the major focus of the video, and that is non-positivism. So, with this, I will begin. So, before beginning right away, let me share a little about Sri Ram's IAS and about this entire concept of these modules. Yes. Yes, I hope it's all visible. So, great. So here you can see this is about Sri Ram's IAS. Now Sri Ram's IAS as a name has been, it resonates with exemplary results, with the idea of guiding its students in the best possible manner. And there's a devoted team to each paper, to each subject. As you can see, I here in particular, Dr. Ekta Jain Sethi, I will be taking the paper of sociology. I've already told you that the classes have begun from 15th April. The timings for the classes are 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Generally, we'll be having the classes on alternate days. We are having classes on alternate days, and with this, this is what Sri Ram's IAS has to offer. I'm sure it is of much use to all the students there who are always there. So many things out possible for you, so many things available for you. So at times बहुत confusion होता है कि क्या करें क्या नहीं करें. So these are the reasons for you to look at. Then of course these are the different courses which are being offered. So we've talked about General Studies Foundation course. There's the crash courses. Then of course the optionals, as I told you, began from 15th April. Timing is 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. So we've just had one class as of now, so it's not too late. And this is a major boost for all of you, all the students, especially from Sri Ram's IAS, because the idea is that all the students, we want you to save your hard work, save energy, save money, save your time. And this is one such offering from us. Then the foundation batch for UPSC CSE, which began from 13th April. एंड ऑफ कोर्स एज आई वाज टेलिंग यू कि श्रीराम दायस एक ऐसा नाम है जो बहुत ही पॉपुलर रहा है इस फील्ड में, इस डोमेन में. एंड दीज आर सम ऑफ द रिजल्ट्स व्हिच यू कैन सी ऑन द स्लाइड्स, एंड माइंड यू दीज आर ओनली सम ऑफ द रिजल्ट्स. ओके. Now, with this about myself, I've talked about myself in my early videos also. For anyone who wants to know, please do check those videos out also. In short, I can tell you that I'm Dr. Ekajan Sethi. I've been involved with the discipline of sociology since a really long time. I've been a gold medalist in school. Then I went on to do my BA honors, my bachelor honors in sociology from Lady Shri Ram College from Delhi University. And I went on to complete my PhD in the same paper, in the same discipline from Jawaharlal Nehru University. In between, I've taught in different places like LSR, like JNU, and constructed course modules for different institutes. So, in short, I can say that I've also published for prominent publications. In short, I can say that I have the subject of sociology is really close to me, and I've worked with students now for more than 8 to 9 years. So the aim is always to make sociology as a subject, to make it very interesting and easy and comprehensible for all of you. Okay, so with that aim, we've already done some videos in which we've talked about the emergence of sociology. We've talked about the relationship of sociology with other social sciences. So we've done those things, and now we've talked a little bit about positivism. So now we'll directly come to non-positivism, which is the other approach in sociology, the prominent approach in sociology. Before coming to non-positivism, if I have to ask you all that, if I tell you very clearly that positivism ka opposite hai non-positivism, okay, just have that in your mind. Just bear that fresh in your mind that non-positivism is basically the opposite of positivism. Now, with that, having said that, let's see what these things are. Positivism, we know, is empirical, right? It's about the external verifiable reality. It has nothing to do with internal. So definitely non-positivism would be about the internal. So you're dealing with your emotions, you're dealing with your feelings, you're dealing with motives, you're dealing with everything that is internal. So it is more than the external. Now, of course, here the stress has been on theory. Stress has been on theory making, right? You focus on theories, on building theories. On the other hand, in non-positivism, the focus is on understanding phenomena. जब हम ये करेंगे तब ये चीज़ें और क्लियर हो जाएंगी, बट these are certain things which I want you all to know at the onset itself. So non-positivism is about understanding phenomena. They do not really stress on theory. अब अगर आप theorize कर रहे हैं तो आप universality में believe करेंगे, like you would want that those theories are applicable everywhere. This did not stress on the universality. This was about the individual, about smaller groups, about differences, right? So this was a more micro approach, while this was a macro approach. Then of course, if you are doing theories, you are dealing with quantitative data. यहाँ पे quantitative है तो automatically यहाँ पे क्योंकि हम internal aspect से deal कर रहे हैं, this will be qualitative. Automatically this becomes scientific, while this becomes humanistic, right? Then this in short becomes objective, because you are dealing with quantitative data, you are dealing with scientific, you are building theories. This will be subjective, because you are dealing with internal emotions, you are dealing with the humanistic aspect, you are dealing with qualitative data. So this is subjective. Then of course, if you are doing theories, if you are dealing with quantitative data, there will be level of prediction here. राइट एक चीज एक जगह ऐसी हो रही है तो वो चीज फिर से उस जगह वैसी ही होगी, या फिर वो चीज ऐसी हर जगह होगी, राइट? if water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, this is irrespective of being in Kashmir or in being in Rajasthan or being in West Bengal. Okay, predictability here is not there. Okay, so this is not there. Okay, testability, again you can test theories. How do you build theories? Only when you can test them. The idea of testability is absent in non-positivism. Okay, can you say that there is a certain group in society, and that group believes that living in nuclear families, or say in urban cities, the idea of nuclear families is preferred than joint families? Now, if you're taking an urban city, like say you're taking something like Mumbai, so maybe from Mumbai you have gathered this data. In Mumbai, you went to one particular society and you gathered this data. But this data, this idea, this conclusion, it might change in 5 years. Within 5 years, there might be a different picture. And again, from that society, from that particular area, you cannot generalize that for the entire Mumbai, right? You cannot generalize it for entire Mumbai, forget entire India, right? So the idea of testability, the idea of predictability does not exist when you are talking about non-positivism. And of course, as I told you, this is about society. It is about society, and that is about individual. So of course we see that इस सबको one line में अगर हमें conclude करना है, so positivism is basically objective study of objective reality, right? Even your study is objective, even your subject matter is objective. In non-positivism, it is the subjective study of subjective reality. Okay, so here you are dealing with everything that is subjective. Okay, so there are very clear differences between positivism and non-positivism, and if you have these differences clear in your mind, all the approaches, all the intricacies of these approach, they will be very, very clear to you. So again, we'll go through it very quickly. We know positivism is about empirical, non-positivism will be about internal. Theory building stress hota hai, understanding phenomena stress hota hai. It is about universality, it is about dealing with society, it is about dealing with individual. Qualitative data, quantitative data, qualitative data, this is a scientific approach. This approach is more humanistic in its way. This is more objective, this is about being subjective. There is prediction here, there is testability here. Prediction and testability are not there in case of non-positivism. In short, again, we can say that what is positivism? It will be the objective study of objective reality. Even your method is objective, even your subject matter is objective. Non-positivism is subjective study of subjective reality. That is, even your subject matter is subjective, and even your your study or your approach is also subjective. Okay. Now, having said that, let's now talk about non-positivism. Okay, now so we saw what positivism was all about, what the basic differences between non-positivism. You already have a rough idea about what is meant by non-positivism. When we are saying non-positivism in sociology, how it is different from positivism. For example, if a question is there that discuss the postulates of positivism and non-positivism, I think you can easily do that now. So now before I explain you, let's first go through this slide a little bit and see what does it say. So non-positivism in sociology, we have a rough idea of what it is. So now let's read about it. Man is an independent thinking being who can influence society. You try to gauge what goes inside the man, how it affects society. So this is what non-positivism is about. You are trying to gauge that what is going inside the mind, inside our minds, how it is affecting society, how, because we are thinking beings. Positivist, what we know, was about empiricism, inductivism, universalism, and these were being questioned by alternative school of thought, especially idealists. So idealists, like you have Hegel, George Hegel. Now for them, ideas were the driving force in history. Okay, ideas were important, ideas were really crucial, ideas were significant. And where do ideas exist? Are they external? No, ideas are within us. We are thinking about those. We are thinking about ideas. We are continuously coming up with new ideas. And whatever idea we have today, tomorrow that will become a part of history. That will be responsible for history. For example, there is a certain business empire which exists today. Was it always there? No. There must have been somebody who got a certain idea, the seeds of the empire were planted, and then from that time till today, a small business may be turned into a huge business empire, right? So ideas become important. So this alternative school of thought, it gave primacy to ideas. Then you have scholars like this is William Dilthey. We have scholars like William Dilthey, Rickert, who highlighted the difference between natural and social world. Social world is based upon the uniqueness of human society in terms of meaning, symbols, motives. So social world was not something regular. There was a uniqueness to it. Why? Why was it unique? Because of the existence of human. Because humans were interacting, there was meaning attached, there were motives attached, they had symbols. Now, these three words which you are seeing here, please remember these: meaning, symbols, motives. These will somewhere form the backbone of entire non-positivism. The idea of non-positivism is drawn from meaning, it is drawn from symbols, it is drawn from motives. So this was important. So we've already seen that what, according to Hegel, social phenomena are a result of ideas which are generated in the minds of individuals, and these ideas are responsible for history. Now, gradually, the alternate view to positivism emerged, and there was a variety of thoughts. And this together, this entire idea of something which was an alternative to positivism came to be called as non-positivist methodology. Okay, so now you know about non-positivist methodology in brief. At least you know how it emerged. It came as a reaction to positivism. What were the basis behind it? That people wanted to study the internal ideas are the driving force for history, and so these approaches started coming in, and the emphasis was on uniqueness of human society in terms of meaning, symbols, motives. So this was all about non-positivism emergence, and then the postulates. You know how non-positivism differs from positivism. Okay, let's move on now. Now before this, you have to understand that positivism to non-positivism का जो shift था वो बहुत sudden नहीं था. ठीक है, it was not like that suddenly someone was a positivist and gradually everybody turned non-positivist. No, you have people like, and here I will mention one particular person especially. You have people like Max Weber. Now, what Max Weber did was he was somewhere, you can see him as a combination of positivism and non-positivism. Okay. Also, when you're talking about Weber, or for that matter, when you're talking about Mead, these are people who are called as early positivists. Okay. So, early positivists were still looking for a bridge between positivism and non-positivism. So, what Weber did was that Weber was studying social action. When we do series on Max Weber, at that time these will be taken up in detail, and in the course these will be taken up properly. Now, Weber was studying with social action. So it was about the internal. It was about what human beings are acting, reacting, their meanings they are attaching. So it was all about the internal. So the subject matter for Weber becomes internal. How Weber was studying social action, now that is interesting. Weber wanted to build a cause and effect relationship while studying social action. If a certain action has been taken place by a human being, there must be a cause for it. There is a reason by which this action has come up. So there's a cause for every effect. So this cause and effect relationship, it reminds you of something. It reminds us of positivism. Okay, positivism also looks for cause and effect relationship. It looks for an objective way of studying reality. So in in this way, Max Weber is studying subjective reality. So he's studying what is subjective, but his method of studying is objective. His method of studying, his study becomes objective because of this. So for Weber, we can say that he did objective study of subjective reality. So this way it becomes an interesting way of looking at it. Now you have people like Weber and Mead here. Gradually, after non-positivism, in fact, there are a lot of people like, for example, who said that we do not have anything to do with these categories. Okay, so firstly, there are people like Garfinkel, there are people like Schutz, there are these different schools like phenomenology, ethnomethodology, as you can see on this slide, who said that no, non-positivism has nothing at all to do with positivism. So they shunned this idea also. Okay, they shunned this idea also. They said no, non-positivism has nothing to do with this. Okay, so they completely demarcated themselves from positivism. With time, this changed. So with time, you have people like, say, uh, there are different people. We talk about them. So many of them said that no, we cannot compartmentalize ourselves in any of these categories. Okay, you can't say that if I'm a positivist I will not deal with non-positivism, or if I'm a non-positivist I will not look at positivist methodologies. For them, what was important? Problem was important, research area was important. Okay, and according to them it would totally depend on the research problem, that what method has to be applied. If a certain problem requires you to go for quantitative methods, you will be a positivist, you will take up positivist methodologies. If not, then you will go for non-positivism. Also there will be a mix, there will be a mix. So gradually there are people like Parsons. So Parsons integrated the micro macro approach. There are people like Popper, there are people, Karl Popper, Talcott Parsons, Karl Popper, Talcott Parsons. There are people like C. Wright Mills. So he did macro micro, he integrated macro micro, he integrated inductivism, deductivism, and he integrated scientific, humanistic. Okay, so gradually there was a phase where which saw integration of approaches. Okay, they said that no, you cannot, if you are just looking at one aspect of reality, you are, this will be a partial understanding of society. Okay, so what positivism was, what limitation positivism had, that is partial understanding of society, same limitation non-positivism had. Okay, so gradually the newer people, the other people, they started integrating those approaches, and after them many people said that we are done with this kind of categorization at all, we don't want this categorization. So we see that in sociology, as sociology developed, as time passed, different themes, different ways of approaching research problems in sociology emerged. So we know that there are people like Weber, Bloomer, Schools who are involved with the non-positivist approach. I've talked about Weber laying the foundation for interpretative methodology. Now Weber's methodology was interpretativist methodology. Uh, it's basically nothing. It's basically Verstehen. Okay, it's basically understanding Verstehen. That is all interpretative methodology of Weber. It's an important aspect, but this will be dealt in detail when we do Weber. So we know about different non-positivist methods. So these are the different methods. I will take up these different methods individually. So then I've talked a little about like people like say new approaches within non-positivism. These were things like phenomenology, ethnomethodology, you have symbolic interactionism. So we will take these gradually. Now, before we come to other things, let's look at this in short. I've told you that Weber deviated from positivism in context of subject matter. Okay, he looked at the individual. Now this was the micro approach. Study of social action and meaning attached to the action by actor. This was important for Weber. There is a meaning attached to a social action by the actor, and this meaning is important. However, he believed in arriving at cause and effect relationship. Okay, and this makes his approach objective. In short, this was an objective study to understand subjective reality, and his ideas can be seen as a transition from positivism to non-positivism. Okay, so now I'll introduce Mead a little bit to you, but I think we'll take up Mead in detail later. So Mead, George Herbert Mead is the full name. George Herbert Mead, and his perspective in the work Mind, Self and Society. This is very important. Okay, this is interesting also and also very important. Now Herbert Blumer was actually a disciple of Mead. So Herbert Blumer is responsible for giving the formal name of symbolic interactionism. Okay, so formalizing symbolic interactionism, and what Blumer had done was basically he compiled the class notes of Mead and he had put them all together, and then he called it symbolic interactionism. But who is actually the father of symbolic interactionism? George Herbert Mead. And Blumer gave the name. And according to Mead, human behavior is governed by the internal processes by which people interpret the world around them and give meaning to their own life. Okay, so all of this is important. So there are internal processes everywhere around us, okay? And however we are interpreting the world, however we are acting, however we are reacting, all of that is dependent on these internal processes and on the fact that what meanings are we giving to life. These are built, reinforced, and modified in the process of interaction with members in society. Also they clarify that this meaning is not static, it is continuously being reinforced, it is continuously being built, it is continuously being modified. So with changing time, there's a changing meaning to a certain social action, right? Today, a certain action can mean very good, but years later, that social action, the meaning of that social action might change. People might despise that social action. So the process of interaction happens through symbols. The idea of symbols will remain very important when we talk about Mead, when we talk about symbolic interactionism in detail. Now, this is basically the interpretativist approach in brief, in short. Now, it includes approaches like phenomenology, ethnomethodology, symbolic interactionism. This was pioneered by Max Weber in Methods of Social Sciences. Now, this is an important contribution of Weber. What was the aim? The aim was to interpret the meanings attached by the individuals to their actions in order thereby an explanation of its cause and effect. Okay, thereby to give an explanation of cause and effect. Now, the basis of this approach, what was the basis? That individuals have a voluntary will. Individuals are not passive. Individuals have a certain desire, they have a certain will, and they act accordingly. Okay, so the individuals have a voluntary will, and his thoughts cannot be understood only in terms of external influence. Whatever is happening outside, of course, that is responsible to a certain extent, but the human will is equally important. So whatever is happening outside, you are processing it, you are interpreting it, you are putting your own meaning to it. So apart from external influence, your internal influences are very important. So action cannot be understood only on the basis of external influence. You have a consciousness, and this consciousness cannot be predicted. Remember, for non-positivism, we said that it is unpredictable. You really can't predict. The predictability element is missing here because of the basis of consciousness again, because you can't understand, you can't predict one person's consciousness, right? Now, reality is constructed by people. Goal is to understand meaning behind actions in a social context through actors' viewpoint. So we have to take into account the actor's viewpoint. It is not only the society, the viewpoint of the actor is equally important, if not more. Now, scientific methods we've seen are Verstehen, ideal types, comparative methods. These are all Weberian methods, okay? These are all Weberian methods. These are part of Weberian methodology, which we do when we come to Weber, when we talk about Weber in detail. Now, very short, in brief, I will take you all through this slide, and then we will talk about these approaches in detail. So let's look at phenomenological approach in brief. Now, the belief is that the subject matter of the social and natural sciences are fundamentally different. We know this. As a result, the method and assumption of natural sciences are inappropriate to study man. So, agar subject matter hi alag hai, to how can you put the same approach, right? So, even your methods, your approaches will differ. The natural sciences deal with matter which can be observed from outside. This matter reacts unconsciously to the external stimuli. One can observe and measure this behavior. There is an element of measurabilities here. You can observe it. There is no need to explore the internal logic of consciousness. So this is about scientific methods. So see, this is all which connects you with positivism, right? It lies external. You can observe it from outside. It reacts unconsciously to the external stimuli. So the idea of processing, interpreting, meaning is not there. You can observe it, you can measure it. There is no need for internal logic. Okay. Humans, on the other hand, we've seen they have consciousness in terms of thoughts, feelings, meanings, intention. There is an awareness of being. There is a meaning attached to action. They do not merely react to external stimuli, they act. So you are not only reacting. It's not your reflex action only. Okay, you are processing whatever has happened, and you are reacting, you are acting towards it. It's not a mere reaction, it's a well thought action. Now, sociologists must study those meanings to understand action. Interpretation of the internal logic is necessary. Humans do not only react to external society, they create their own meaning and construct their own reality. So this is a little about phenomenological approach. Now, these are things which we'll take up in our next video, wherein I'll also begin talking about symbolic interactionism. We'll do a little bit of this and we will move on to the idea of symbolic interactionism, which is a very interesting approach in context of non-positivism. And then we'll come to these questions. Now, as of now, if you look at it, I think the very first question, you are in a position to deal with this question, that is non-positivistic methodology scientific? You know what positivism is. First, you will explain a little about positivism, that how it was a scientific approach, and then non-positivism came, and how non-positivism, because it is the opposite of positivism, it automatically becomes not a scientific approach. Okay. Then the second one we still have to do, the third one we have to do, the fourth one, again, non-positivistic methodology is essential for understanding human behavior. So we've seen that how human behavior is not dependent only on the external, right? So as soon as you take up the internal into your research, into understanding, non-positivistic methodology will become important. Okay. So with this, I will stop here for this one. And as I told you, we'll continue this in our next video. Please take a look at the course which is there, which has been shared on the website also. We'll share the link here also. The sociology course has begun from 15th April, timings are 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And our first class has happened. So all of you are more than welcome to join. And all the other videos have been shared. So you can always check them out. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.